Hi, my name is Gloria, and I will be refuting against the claim social networking has a negative impact on our society. My opponent's second claims are: 1. Social networking negatively affects a student's life. 2. Employers use social networking for dismissing candidates. And 3. Social networking gives rise to cyberbullying. For the first supporting claim, my opponent stated that social networking negatively affects a student's life, with the evidence saying it creates distraction from school studies. However, we cannot determine whether or not social networking has a great impact on the student's education. No statistical evidence was given to prove what percentage of students were distracted by social networking. Another evidence was given stating that social networking impacts students' grades negatively. Once again, we cannot determine how much social networking is causing students' grades to drop due to lack of proof. There can be other factors influencing the students' low grades, such as jobs, late-night parties, or simply not studying for the exams. Therefore, we cannot directly point our fingers to social networking. For the second supporting claim, my opponent stated that employers use social networking for dismissing candidates, which increases the chance of not being hired. I would like to dismiss this claim by stating that employers use social networking as a tool in determining the candidates can have negative effect on an individual, but not on the society as a whole. One candidate's chance of not getting hired is a boost to another candidate's chance of getting hired. And eventually the job position will be filled by somebody. Therefore, society as a whole is not affected negatively by it, but rather some tests have a positive. Some tests show that social networking have a positive effect. According to the research performed by Career Builder, 1/3 of hiring managers found the materials on the candidates' social networking sites, such as Facebook, that boosted their applications. I would also like to state that employers use social networking for recruiting candidates. The Society for Human Resource Management reports that number of companies using social networking sites to recruit employers increased from 34% in 2008 to 56% in 2011. Also, according to Career Enlightenment, an online job resource site, 89% of companies surveyed used social networks for recruiting in 2011, and 65% of the companies have successfully hired through social networking sites. So rather having a negative effect, social network is actually having a positive effect on the people seeking for jobs. For the third secondary claim, my opponent stated that social networking gives rise to cyberbullying. However, I would like to state that social networking is not the main cause of cyberbullying. My opponent used the statistic data of Dr. Kowalski and Limber's survey of middle school students to state that 11% of the students experienced cyberbullying. However, the study also showed that 70.3% of the cyberbullying for girls and 66.6% for the boys have happened through instant messaging, such as AIM, Windows Messenger Live, also known as MSN, and Yahoo Messenger. Cyberbullying through social networking is on the bottom of the list. Secondly, parents are the one responsible for cyberbullying. Minor Monitor, an internet protection software site, surveyed 1,000 parents on Facebook using children under 18 years old. The survey showed that over 38% of the children are under the age of 13, which is a violation of Facebook's minimum age requirement. Also, according to SocialShield.com, another internet protection site, only 32% of those parents actually monitored their child's social networking activity every day, while 28% admitted they only occasionally, rarely, or never monitored the activity. This shows that the parents are not monitoring their children's internet use, which can easily lead to dangerous situations such as cyberbullying. Jim Lee Tang, kids technology experts and writer, stated that as children continue to explore social media at younger ages, it is imperative that parents do not only educate their children, but also remain vigilant by monitoring children's online activity. Thank you.
All right, the main and secondary claims are clearly labeled. I like the general argument that you're making here about causality on several of the points, that there are other explanations. On the first point, you're basically challenging whether or not there's any way to measure the impact of this, and I thought those were pretty good challenges. It was strange to me because I thought you might run into the same problem later on when you were talking about the social networking and the hiring things, that you would just maybe make the same kinds of presses. But on the hiring thing, you had some good counterclaims that talked about how this is beneficial. I was surprised that you didn't also have some counterclaims here that talk about how social networking actually might improve people's performance, their ability to work collaboratively online, for instance, to get additional information that's suggested by classmates, to post on message boards or any of those kinds of things. In essence, you do have the right presses to give on the evidence that the advocate presented, but it seemed to me like, given the strength of the argument that you had on the second point, that you probably could have done some of the same things on the first point and make that equally strong. Like I said, on the second point, I thought that you were very effective here talking about the potential impact of social networking on hiring issues. You had some good statistical information on those ideas and concepts, and I thought your analysis was a little bit interesting, that ultimately somebody has to get the job, so it doesn't really have a net negative impact on society. It might have a negative impact on an individual person, but then you have a good, like I said, a good counterclaim on this point that says that there are substantial benefits from this because it connects people with jobs that they might not otherwise find. Industries have been able to fill jobs using social networking. And in fact, social networking has actually increased the prospects of many of the candidates. So I thought those were all pretty solid. The cyberbullying thing, I think you also did a good job looking at the evidence that the advocate presented and presenting some counter evidence to respond to those particular points. And I thought you had a pretty good summary suggesting that the real causality on this point is not the social networking, but the lack of monitoring by the parents who are supposed to be responsible. And obviously they aren't being responsible for kids who aren't even supposed to be on a lot of these social networking sites. All right, thank you.